When we first dreamed about a tiny home, I thought, there's no way we can afford this. I've sat at the kitchen table with bills stacked up, staring at my bank balance and saying to my wife, forget it, let's just stay where we are. But the thing about dreams is they don't just go away because you tell them to. That's when we made a choice. We were going to build the tiny home dream anyway, not with a big loan or a pile of cash, but paycheck by paycheck. And today I want to show you exactly how we're doing it. The same way we built our first shed home and now my daughter's tiny home. One step at a time on the money that we've actually got. Hey y'all, I'm Kevin and this is Ask Paw Paw, where we keep it simple, practical, and real. If you're new here, I build tiny homes, live more self-reliant, and do it all on a budget, and I show you how to do the same. Now, in episode 1, how you can still have the American dream even if it's tiny, we talked about the why the tiny American dream still matters, and how we found ours. Today is all about the how to pay for it when you don't have a pile of money sitting in the bank. And before you roll your eyes thinking, here comes the debt lecture, hold on. Some of these strategies won't cost you a penny in interest. Others, they might, but I'll show you how to use them smart so that you're never buried under payments that you can't make. All right, before we get into numbers and finance and options, we have to talk about mindset, because this is where most people lose before they even start. When we first started looking at a shed to home conversion, I wanted the whole thing. I wanted it all done yesterday. In my head, I could see the porch, the kitchen, the wood stove, but my wallet was saying, yeah, that's not happening. If I had let that all or nothing mindset win, I'd probably still be sitting in a rental somewhere paying someone else's mortgage. So I had to shift my thinking. I started looking at it like planting a garden. You don't just dump every seed you got in the ground at once. You plant what you can when you can. You water it, you protect it from weeds, and eventually you look out one day and realize you've got something real growing. For us, that meant breaking the build into bite-sized wins. One weekend we insulated the walls. Next payday we put in a small kitchen counter. The week after that we hung a single door. At the time it felt slow, but each step stacked on the last until we had a real home. That's why mindset matters. If you're willing to start small and keep going, you'll get there. And speaking of starting small, let me tell you about the little shed that got us going. We didn't have mortgage money. What we did have was a chunk of land, a dream, and a need to start now. That's when I noticed the portable buildings at the lot down near our town. And to most folks, they were just sheds. To me, they were 4 walls and a roof. I didn't have to build from scratch. We went with the rent to own. No credit check, no bank meeting, just a small down payment, first month's rent, and in a week a truck was backing up onto our land and setting it in place. The payment was about $600 a month over the full 4 years. And yeah, it would have cost more than the shed was worth. But here's the thing. We didn't pay for it for 4 years. We treated it like a race. Anytime we had extra money, it went straight to the balance. And when the company offered a buyout for 55% of what was left, we jumped on it. And then we just paid about $7,000 to finish paying it out and to own it outright. That first night, they dropped it off. We sat inside on folding chairs with no insulation, no flooring, just bare plywood. But we looked around and thought, this is ours. If you'd go this route, a few tips. Number 1, read the contract. Some rent-to-own deals have buyout discounts and some don't. Keep it short. The faster you pay it off, the less interest that you're going to eat. And don't over upgrade. It's easy to start adding windows and porches and fancy trim at the lot, but those add-ons balloon your payment really fast. You're better off adding your own stuff later. If you're thinking about rent to own, come walk a lot like this with fresh eyes. Now, rent to own isn't the only way to get started. Some people make a small personal loan or even a credit card work if they treat it like a tool and not a trap. As you look around, you'll see that you can imagine making a little place like this into a home. It's nothing super fancy and it's not very big. But if you're just starting out and you're a little intimidated by framing your own building up, this could be the way to go. Something like this has a huge loft up there that you could make a sleeping area if you needed to. You could put a little kitchen here below it, and then back here, all this, which isn't very big, but all that could be a living area and a little bathroom. And really that's all you would need to get started. And what were we looking at on something like this? This is a 12 by 28, and they're wanting $10,522.80. Your monthly payments, if you could do it in 3 years, it's $534.67. Now, that's a lot, but when you talk about some folks that are paying $1,500 a month for rent right now, it's an option. It's not your only option, but it is an option. When we were finishing our first shed, we hit that stage where all the little stuff was nickel and diming us. Electrical boxes, light fixtures, trim. We refinanced the rent-to-own balance in a small personal loan. It was lower interest, one fixed payment, and it gave us breathing room to finish. I've seen folks do this with 0% interest credit card offers. They'll buy a big batch of materials all at once and then pay it off before the interest kicks in. But here's the catch: discipline. If you treat it like free money, you're going to sink yourself. I once met a guy who used a card for his whole build, and then life happened, like it does. He had a job change and some medical bills, and now that card was charging him 28% interest. That's why I always say debt is like fire. It can cook your dinner or it can burn your house down. This little piece of plastic helped us buy electrical boxes, but we treated it like it was fire, which is why sometimes the smartest way to fund your build is to make your living expenses so small that you free up cash without borrowing a dime. We did this without even realizing it was a strategy. When my daughter and grandson moved in with us to save money for their own place, it wasn't glamorous, but it freed up cash and gave us time to plan. I've seen people rent a single room, buy an old camper, or move in with family for a year and funnel all that saved rent straight into their tiny home fund. One couple I know bought a $3,000 RV, parked it on their land, and by the end of the year had their tiny home dried in, completely debt-free. Another guy lived in a converted school bus for 18 months while he was building. He always said, "I traded comfort for freedom, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat." If you're willing to get creative, even for a short season, you can build faster than you think. And if you're thinking, "That's great, but I don't even have land yet," let's fix that. Land can eat up half your budget if you're not careful, but you don't always have to buy the perfect plot outright. Some folks team up with family and they split the cost of a bigger piece of property. Others rent a slice of land, maybe someone's backyard or a section of a farm, while they build. I've heard of people who built their tiny home in a friend's driveway and then moved it when it was done. A few places to look for cheap land or build space is Facebook Marketplace. Look for owner finance lots. Craigslist, farm and garden section on Craigslist is a good one. You can go to local feed stores or hardware store bulletin boards out in the country. Small town newspapers, yes, they still exist, and yes, you can still find hidden gems there if you look hard enough. And if you wait for the perfect setup, you might wait forever, because sometimes the best way forward is to just start where you can, even if it's temporary. And once you've got a place to build, my favorite way to do it is exactly how we're doing my daughter's right now, paycheck by paycheck. This is where we're at today. One payday, we buy concrete and pour a pad. Next payday, we might grab lumber for the floor joist. It's slow, but it's never scary. No one's sending us a bill that we can't pay. The day we poured that first pad for my daughter's house, we all stood around it, and it was like it was a monument. It was just a 2x2 slab of concrete, but to us, it was the start of her freedom. And that freedom is poured one bag at a time. If you're building slow, keep a running material list so you know exactly what's next. Celebrate each milestone, even the little ones. And be sure to take pictures as you go, because you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Even if you can only do one small step a month, pour one pad, buy one window, you're still moving forward. And that's the real secret, because progress beats perfection every single time. So whether it's rent to own, a small loan that you pay off fast, living tiny while you save, sharing land, or just building one step at a time, there's always a way forward. For us, the tiny American dream isn't about the square footage, it's about freedom. Every pad we pour, every beam that we set is one step closer to that freedom. And here's the exciting part. In the next episode, I'm sharing 6 real practical ways that you can make this dream happen for yourself, no matter where you're starting. So hit subscribe, grab my tiny home planning kit, and let's keep building this dream. Paycheck by paycheck. We're not just building a house, we're building a new way to live, and I'm inviting you along for every single step.